Everybody, this is the CT Sports Town Show, the Connecticut High School football preview, and I'm pleased to have on the now first-year head coach with the North Branford program, a part of the Pequot for football, Anthony Salvati, who previously was with Guilford and now is back in his hometown with North Branford. Coach, I appreciate you being able to come on, and congratulations on being with North Branford.
No, thank you, Chris. It's always a pleasure to be back here, and I can't thank you enough for everything you do for high school sports here in Connecticut. So it's an honor.
I appreciate that. I was looking through the paperwork that the CIC has as far as with certain important dates, and I saw that OTAs are August 10th to 12th, and I'm thinking like, okay, we have July 4th on Tuesday. It's coming up. I see the Twitter handle for North Branford. You're counting down the days. Are you guys chomping at the bit yet, or are you chomping at the bit?
No, we're chomping at the bit. I mean, we're excited. We've been looking forward to this since we were hired back in early March. So it's getting close. The kids are working hard in the weight room and whatnot and doing their camps throughout the summer. But yeah, we're counting down those days. It's about 6 weeks out and we can't wait.
And, I'm glad that you mentioned as far as when you were at the program, when you started things with North Branford, because it's crucial to get there as soon as possible, which it sounds like you did, because now you're able to kind of give the kids a structure of, hey, this is what I'm expecting. This is who I am, right? You may have heard some things on the outside, but this is who I am. How important was that to see the kids face to face before the summer?
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. I've always said, even when I was in Gilbert, your presence has to be felt and has to be known. And the kids have to be able to buy in and have to get to be able to trust you. And if you're not there, they're not going to trust you. And so we make it a point, my staff included, all of us, we try to get down there as much as possible, in the weight room and work with them and get to know them, outside of football, because it's more than a game. We have to coach these kids through life and get them through a tough time. High school is never easy for anyone. So when you meet them, you want to try and build that connection as soon as possible. So it's critical to get out there early on and build that rapport with them.
And it's even more important too, because you just gave me some solid information as far as with the amount of players that you have returning, and it's only a handful of kids. So you need to be able to have those connections, be like, hey, like you got to put in the work. Like there's a whole lot of spots open. So let's get ready to work.
Yeah. And I the first time I met the kids, I told them my expectations. I want good quality kids. I don't want kids that are going to get in trouble. I want them to, put this program on their back and wear it with pride, and so, you could tell the nervousness when you kind of speak about what your expectations are. But you know what, once they kind of, showed up and we started hanging out a little bit, they understood where I was coming from. We're not dropping the hammer, saying, hey, it's my way or the highway type of thing. But we have to hold them accountable, and they're starting to learn that, there are some fine lines they have to walk, but at the same time, it's going to be beneficial for them. It's not one of those things where we're just trying to be tough guys. We're trying to help them out on and off the field. So, yeah, I mean, I think they were kind of a little taken back, but the good thing is about this team and this program in general, I'm very fortunate. Some of these kids that I'm going to be coaching here in the next couple of years, I was their flag football coach when they were 5 years old. So it's kind of surreal, so I've had kind of a connection with a lot of these kids, which is nice.
It's awesome because it's like coming full circle, right? Sports is always like that. And I think that's really, really cool. And you mentioned the kids that you coach, back in the flag football days. Did they have any questions for you when you were talking with them? Because I'm sure they were trying to pick your brain a little bit.
I think they kind of just take it all in. How high school kids are. You got to pull their teeth sometimes to get them to talk, or they won't stop talking. So it's they haven't really had much questions. I think when we speak, though, and we speak about what we've done in the past and some of the history that we've been a part of as a staff in this program, you could see them kind of get excited because we're excited about it. This is a program that we all as a staff, we hold near and dear to our heart. So they don't really ask questions, Chris. They kind of take it in, and they're kind of listening and they're kind of learning, and they're excited that we're excited. So I think that's more where they're coming from there.
Have you and your staff kind of look back now, kind of, you've been there for a little bit now, you kind of see things from a full picture perspective. The expectations with the program, but also too, the familiarity with the kids, you kind of know what's going around. Do you think that will cut some of the kind of the lag time? Maybe that's not the best word to say, but as far as cutting that learning curve, I guess that's probably the better word, right? With now things kind of jumping through, or am I just kind of just talking to talk?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, because it's a whole different system for them. It's almost like a foreign language that they have to learn. And football is football, but what the previous coach might have called inside zone, we're going to be calling something different. There's still going to be a lot of a learning curve there for all these players.
The terminology, like you said, right? To go from one coach to then let's say Gruden, right? Who's doing X, Y, banana,
Yeah.
hokey pokey, whatever, right? I could see what you're talking about. But have you and your staff kind of talked about like, hey, here's are certain things that we're going to do without revealing too much to try to help the kids who may have, it may take some time. Like it may take the season. I don't want to say it's going to take that long, but for some kids, it could take that long just to kind of know what the terminology is.
Yeah, we actually we're fortunate enough nowadays with the way the internet is and whatnot. We're able to post all of our plays on Huddle. So we tell them, listen, we kind of broke it down. Like these are the core plays you need to know come August 10th when you show up. And we kind of tell them we give it to them right there. This is how you run it. This is the blocking assignment. This is what the positions are called, because we can't meet with them in a classroom setting yet. So luckily the internet kind of lets us get that information out to them and they can review it for their needs over the summer. So this way, hopefully come August 10th, it's not foreign to them anymore.
The wonders of internet. Have to love it, right?
It's a blessing and a curse, right?
This is true, very true. I mean, I remember who was it? Herman Edwards said, "Think before you press send." Right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So,
That,
I
that's a whole
wanted.
different that's a whole different animal we have to go into with the kids nowadays too.
Oh yeah,
So
100%. I agree with you on that one. I want to talk a little bit about kind of the Pequot brand of football, right? Because every conference I feel like has their style, right? The NVL where I broadcast, although it's starting to shift towards passing a little bit more of the air raid, but still, you have the Ansonias, they run the hammer. Nagy loves to run the football as well. They don't throw it that much. Holy Cross is kind of like a mix, but they're a rare breed. The
sure.
Pequot, when I think about them, right? I think of old style, just run through the mud, just not ugly brand of football, but I'm saying like we're gonna win ugly and we're gonna love how we look after.
Yep.
Is that kind of something that you're kind of looking forward to? Because I know the SEC, a different brand of football, or am I wrong there?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And I think part of the reason why the Pequot plays that style is because traditionally they're smaller schools, class M or smaller. So when you're limited with numbers, you have to have some type of kids play a certain way. They have to be tough kids. They got to play both sides of the ball. So I think that kind of leads into your point where you got some of that old school style of football where you're running the ball down people's throats a little bit more than spreading it out and throwing the air raid out there. So yeah, no, I think you're right. I definitely think you're right there. And there's some good teams out there that do it well. So it's it's going to be fun.
I was talking to a player that plays for the Stafford program, which is a combination of a couple with Coach Mazzone.
Yeah,
And, you know, 100%. He's such a fantastic coach and a great man as well. And I was talking to the player about how many times did you hear the word power? Because obviously running the football. And he said, if I had a nickel for every time I heard power, but that's kind of the brand of the Pequot. I mean, you think about you and I were talking about Rockville a couple years ago. Now they ran into Killingly, who's a monster with Coach Neal and the RPO, the run people over, not over. But Granby's been competitive. Obviously, Branford's had some pretty good talent over the last couple years. So the Pequot, and I know I'm forgetting others as well, and I apologize, but the Pequot is a competitive conference. Even though the teams are spread out, there's a whole lot of good football talent there.
There really is. Like you said, you listed a few, but back when the Pequot first came into existence, or when really became something, I was a player, and we had to build ourselves in North Branford up to be one of those top tier teams, and we battled up there for a few years, and we've kind of fallen off, come back, fallen off. But in that meantime, you've had all these other teams enter the league and have really helped boost this league. Like you said, the Rockvilles, the Cromwells, the Valley Regional now. Granby is doing run triple option up there. They're doing a great job. Stafford Springs with Coach Mazzone. It's a gamut. It's not like the old days where you had one or two teams, and it's a crapshoot at the end between those two. It's a crapshoot from the beginning because you have a good 5, 6 to 10 teams that can compete. So it's going to be fun.
I could tell you too, just speaking off of a team that was in the Pequot and then joined the NVL, the Gilbert Northwestern Housatonic program. They gave Ansonia one of the toughest games, probably one A, one B to Holy Cross. But as far as competitiveness, and they were just well coached. I could see kind of that brand of football they brought from the Pequot, and because of how well they played, coach. I'm pretty sure they're moving up to Division One because the NVL is Division One, Division Two as far as the teams, and they were in Division Two, and they had, I think, the best record in Division Two, so they earned themselves to move up. So, and they came from the Pequot and the NVL with some of the teams there, so I could see that.
Yeah, and they were a longtime Pequot member. So I mean, like you said, they were one of the first ones. They established that toughness. So it's good to see that, when they switched leagues, that they took that brand of football and they're being successful there. So yeah, that is a testament to the Pequot. Absolutely.
Now, talk to me about some of the players. You were telling me how you have a running back coming back. More importantly, because I love the big uglies, I love offensive linemen. You got the left tackle. That's huge because if you got a right-handed quarterback, for people who may not know, need to protect the blind side, the Michael Orr, the blind side.
Yep.
Talk to me about some of these kids that are coming back that you're familiar with.
Yeah, so I'll start with the left tackle, Lucian DePino. He was an all-state player last year, two-way player, offensive and defensive line. He's that big kid, just getting to know him. He's a nice kid. He really is. And he's a lovable kid. He's a joke. He's a jokester, he messes around, but man, when you see him on the field, that goes right out the window. He's that old school tough. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to bury you into the ground, play after play after play, and I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to having him out there on the field for sure. The other kid is Tommy Hanson at running back, all league kid last year. He's been playing running back since he was a freshman, and now he's going into his junior year. Even last year, the kind of offense revolved around him. It's when he's healthy and he's going, it's a tough offense to stop. So he's going to fit well into our system on offense for sure. And then the quarterback situation, we have a sophomore. He's going to be a sophomore. He was a freshman last year, started on defense for the Thunderbirds, and he kind of gives us that dual threat capability, running, throwing. So he's a gym rat too, man. So he's built, he doesn't look like your typical sophomore. So it's going to be fun, And then we got some upperclassmen that got a little bit of playing time last year, but not much. But I think they're going to fit in nicely up front, especially on the O-line, D-line for us.
Not to put pressure on the kids that are coming back, but how important is it for the players that are returning that have a lot of experience, like you mentioned, the running back, the left tackle, to be able to, I don't want to say depend on them, but lean on them early on because of the fact of with so much on your and the staff's plate, and to be able to hold the players accountable, which it sounds like is not even a problem, but just to make sure that, hey, things have to get done a certain way. We've got a new staff, new coach here who obviously is familiar with us. We have to make sure that we are ready for the first day as far as games and also practices as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have to lean on them. I think the players that are stepping into new roles, they're excited, but I think you can tell they're a little nervous. So they are going to lean on those guys that have been there before. This is a team that did go to the playoffs last year. So those couple of players that I mentioned with playing time, playing experience, they're going to have to be the big brothers out there and say, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. Follow us and let's go. But as I mentioned, some of those kids that got a little bit of playing time last year that are stepping into bigger roles this year, they're excited, because they feel like, it's our time now, so I don't think the moment's going to be too big for them, but I think the excitement around everyone is going to help everyone kind of fit in nicely and just kind of ease into it.
For you, coach, specifically, do you feel like because now going to a new program, new, quote unquote, a new place, do you feel like you're going to have to change the way that your coaching style is a little bit, or are you going to stay the way you are?
I try to evolve every year, no matter where I am. I think any good coach does that. You have to evolve. You can't stay stagnant. But you do stick to the styles that work for you. I've always said I am who I am. I coach how I want someone to coach my kids or how I want someone to treat my kids. So I'm going to be tough. I'll be tough at times, but I'm also that fun-loving guy, and I'm going to give you guys a hug when you guys do something right, and I'm going to chew you out when you do something wrong. But I try to keep it light and keep it fun as best I can. But yeah, my style is pretty much my style. It's just who I am, but it is what it is.
Is there any new, it's not like basketball where now they have a shot clock and the fouls where after 5, it's 2 free throws instead of, 1-and-1s and all that. Are there any particular rules that people may not know that were adjusted before the beginning of this season that maybe you feel like will have to be a focus just early on with the kids?
Nothing that really comes to mind. I mean, they tweak things here and there, but nothing has really been brought to my attention that's really going to be a big factor for us going into the season.
I did see one thing in the packet that I was looking at as far as kind of the rules and all that, and I was surprised to see that there will be a running clock even if a player is pushed out of bounds. I don't remember that being something that was in the past, if they did that or not. Again, I'm broadcasting, so I'm not really noticing, but is that a new rule or no?
That is new. I don't know. Again, we haven't had a referee. Normally the officials meeting comes up the end of July. So we'll obviously ask those questions then. I'm not sure what the circumstances are. If it's continuous throughout the game, is it a running clock now for the whole game, or is it just the fourth quarter? I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping to get more clarification on that soon.
Because I looked at it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so a team that likes to run the football, because my first thought was, oh, Ansonia.
Yeah,
Well, if you run out of bounds, but the clock is still running, it's like, well, they went out of bounds. Shouldn't the clock stop until at least the ball is set and ready?
score. Yeah, you would assume. So yeah, again, I haven't read too much into that yet. As we get closer to the season, I hopefully get some more clarification on it. But
So, Coach, it's awesome to be able to have you. I know you got a busy schedule. Just one more question, really quick. With everything going as far as with OTAs coming up and whatnot, where would you say you are as far as comfortability with how you have everything set as we prepare into OTAs? Do you feel like you have everything set, or are there still things that you're adjusting as far as your schedule with the team and such?
no, I mean, listen, I'm a creature of habit. My wife makes fun of me because I'm very regimented. We've had this schedule set since we got in there in March. The staff's been meeting regularly. We are, as a staff, we are ready to go as far as we have our plans, we have our practice plans, we know what we want to do. We know what our install is going to be, what we're going to hang our hat on offense, what to hang our hat on defense. So really, we're just counting down, and the staff is ready to go. We just got to get that okay on August 10th to start doing this stuff. Really, I'm excited. Our staff. I tried to. One thing when I came back to North Branford, I wanted to make sure that people remember how good this program is, or used to be, or should be. So I went out there and specifically got North Branford guys as far as my staff goes, for the most part. And we're all on the same page and we're all lockstep there. So I think that schedule it's kind of been built because we are so cohesive as a staff, and that we're so excited that everyone's just ready to go. We're chomping at the bit. So I think we're ahead of the game in that regard. Now we'll
I
see
did
come August, but
I did notice that on the Twitter handle for the program that you posted a lot of former players that are now on the staff.
yep,
And that I think is awesome because you're not only bringing the fact of success that they had both on the field, but also off the field of the expectations of, hey, a bunch of these guys are former players. They know what it means to be a Thunderbird, North Branford football player. And it
yeah.
kind of, I would think that will help you a lot, especially early on.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. A small school like this, there's been a lot of rumors over the past couple of years about North Branford co-oping with other teams and this and that. And nowadays it's becoming more common because football it's harder to get kids to come out there and play. And I took that as a personal challenge, and I think our staff did as well. Like we don't want to do that, and not to say that we're totally against it, but we have so much pride in this program that's the last thing we want to do, and we're here to try and make sure that doesn't happen. And we're going to take we take this very seriously. We're going to put everything we can into this effort to get this program up and running with high numbers, or at least the quality numbers of kids that we need to get out there and be successful, without co-oping with anyone. Now, I don't know what's going to happen down the line 5-10 years from now, but my immediate thought right now is not to co-op. And I know my staff is dead set against it as well, because we've all been there. Like you said, this program means a lot to all of us. And, the last thing we want to do is co-op with another team. And that pride that we have is it bleeds through. And I think the kids see that, that's, if I can say one thing that I'm proud about right now with our staff is that the love that we have for this program, it exudes from our being. So the kids see that, or they will see it more, definitely.
That's awesome to hear, Coach. You know what? Very admirable in a lot of ways to be able to try to keep as much as because again, when you co-op, then it becomes okay. What do we name the team? It's almost like you cut everything in half, right?
Yep.
But to being able to keep what it means to be a Thunderbird, because if you co-op, you may not be the Thunderbirds. You could be something else depending on the money, field, stuff that's way out of my pay grade. But
Yep.
hearing how you want to be able to keep, and you never know. And I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe you can share that with me after I ask you this question really quick. But and then we'll end this. And I don't want to keep you. But as far as whatever happens this season, it could extend where maybe more players will want to come out because they see how much fun and being able to see one of their own, many of their former friends, players, etc., coaching and you being a part of it, right?
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, that's the goal. I'd be foolish if I thought that I was going to have 80 kids on the roster in 2 years. That's not realistic in a small school. But yeah, if we can get 2-3 kids every year that want to come out and try it, or come back to a program or a sport that they stopped playing when they were younger, that's a big benefit, and that's the goal. When I walked in, there was 21 kids returning, and I was like, oh boy, with the incoming freshmen and some additions, we're up to about almost 40. We're up to 38. So for a Class S school, that's pretty good. I could take that all day long. And it's just a matter of now it's our job to get these kids prepared to be able to succeed on the field, and be competitive, whether it's a sophomore, freshman, senior, we need to try and, as a staff, to use what we have. I can't just go out there and make a kid up and make him 6'5", 300 pounds. I got to take sometimes a 5'8" kid and 130 pounds and maybe go play special teams for a year or two to give my starter a breather, and that's where we have to be creative. And that's where we're going to have to do our best coaching to make sure we can get those kids on the field and get some kids breathers when they need to. So that's going to be probably the most difficult part of this season, is just trying to manage kids, get them on them off the field, get some kids playing time. So maybe as a sophomore or junior, they can really become a two-way player for us. And then hopefully have that success where we can start getting 3-4 kids at a time to come out and help us. So.
You see, that's the beauty of coaching, though, to be able to figure out, okay, how can I, because it's like playing chess. I've always said football, basketball, baseball, whatever the sport is like playing chess. If you're good at chess, maybe it can correlate, but being able to see, okay, this player, I've always believed the Bill Belichick line. Don't tell me what he can't do. Tell me what he can do. And I feel like that's going to be a big thing for this program this year.
100%. We need to find, there's 22 spots offensively and defensively, and then all those other special team spots too. I mean, there's no reason why a freshman or a sophomore can't go out there and give me a play or two on punt or kickoff return or kickoff. So if we can get something out of the younger kids on a Friday night, that just helps the older kids kind of get their wind, get their legs under them, keep them a little bit more fresh, and get them that air that they might need. So in a critical time in the game in the fourth quarter, they're ready to go. So that's the beauty of coaching. So we got to make sure we do our best there and get some of those kids out there when we can.
Well, Coach, best of luck as far as with the remainder of the offseason as you head into OTAs August 10th and such. And hopefully I can kind of see this program at some point during the season, because that'd be a lot of fun.
Anytime. I'd love to have you down there. And we're all over the map of Connecticut here the first month or so, but we kind of get back into our normal schedule sometime in October. So feel free to come on down, man. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Now, to wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm going to try and find them all. Do their share, everybody, and be well.